There's always going to be a fear. You're always worried about certain aspects. Okay, what's going to happen here? Can I increase sales there? Why am I not selling, I don't know, this bread or whatever it is? So there's always fears. It's part of running a business. That's completely normal. The key is to try and understand that this fear is almost like a background noise more than anything else. You really need to take from this fear like the small points that are really material and really substantial and really going to impact you if they go wrong. And you need to nail them. You need to look at that and say, okay, 1, 2, 3. If I don't nail these 3 points, kaput, I'm done. Starting again.
Hi, Envisionaires. Welcome to the Envisionaire podcast. This is the podcast where we envision living our best lives by exploring everyday topics related to health, wealth, and community. On today's episode, we have Itay Zilkha, who will be speaking to us about how he left his corporate 9-to-5 job in accounting and finance to follow his dreams, to continue to develop Patisserie Florentine, an award-winning bakery in the US, and subsequently opened Eden's Little Bakery, one of the most successful and award-winning bakeries and cafes in leafy Surrey in England. This is an endeavor he took on with his daughter, Eden, hence the name Eden's Little Bakery. Itay worked as a CPA qualified accountant within some of the world's top accounting, real estate, and financial institutions for over a decade, while founding a successful artisan bakery and catering brand in New Jersey. He eventually left his esteemed accounting and finance career in the City of London to continue to pursue his dream and further develop Patisserie Florentine with his brother and business partner. And in 2020, he helped his daughter, Eden, set up Eden's Little Bakery. When I learned about Itay's very interesting background and his move from the corporate world into entrepreneurship in the hospitality and catering industry, I knew I had to interview him for the podcast, as I think there's so many of you that are toying with the idea of leaving your private or public sector job to pursue your own dreams. I hope today we can gain some insight and inspiration from Itay and his story. So, Itay, welcome to the Envisionaire podcast.
Good afternoon, Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
I've touched already a little bit on your background, but I would like you to share a bit about your journey from Israel to London, perhaps a little bit about your childhood, your upbringing, and how you ended up in the UK.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm Israeli, born in Israel, lived most of my life in Israel until 2007. I met my wife in 2000, which is part of the decision to move to the UK in 2007. I've done the usual Israeli journey, of going to school, high school, then joining the army, serving 4 years as an officer, and then after that, traveling the world and starting to study. It's slightly different than what people know here in the UK.
Yeah.
Because you start the education part much earlier. And then as I finished my studies in Israel, there was a junction when I had to decide if to move to UK and start my career here in the finance industry. Mm-hmm. We have decided together to move here. I've got 3 lovely kids, Eden, Neo, and Ziv. Eden, as you already mentioned her, she's 18, she's my eldest, and she just finished her A-levels. And Neo is 16 and just finished her GCSEs. And Ziv is a little one who is 8 years old and is just starting his journey.
Aww. Keeps you busy, I'm sure.
100%.
And you have this bakery. So crazy.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, your childhood a little bit more. Let's go back into that. Was it a very traditional childhood? I think you've mentioned to me before you have brothers. You guys are very close. Yes. How was it growing up?
So in Israel in general, it's a very warm environment. So lots of people like to be together, sometimes even too much. But I find it quite a nice thing. Me and my two brothers are very close. We spend lots of time together.
Mm-hmm.
My brother Tom, who I set up the business Patisserie Florentine with back in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
lives in New Jersey. He's still running the business there.
Yeah.
We'll touch about it maybe a little bit later.
Yeah.
And my brother Elad is an accountant. He also done part of the same journey that I've done in the beginning, because we've done our internship as an accountant both in Ernst & Young. And he continues with his finance careers while I move to where I'm at now. A very functional family, lots of good food, which you'll find out in Israel. That's like the normal, at least for us.
I've heard.
Yes. As I mentioned, the army, it's very different for us in Israel compared to let's say, the European countries, or most of the European countries, when you don't have to serve set amount of time in the army. Because it's an obligation, it's almost like part of your journey. I think I found it luckily I didn't have to be involved in any life-threatening situation, but I learned a lot about discipline and actually maturing quite a lot during this 4-year period.
Mm-hmm.
And then it brings you to the point when you start at the age of 18. I was out of the army at the age of 22. I think it's easier to make decisions at this point about what you want to study and what you want to do in life, even though you've got an ideas, obviously, when you are much younger.
Yeah.
But I find, for instance, I'm looking at my kids now, and I think about the generation now, and there's lots of great ideas of how you see in the world and what exactly you want to do. But at least from my experience, it changes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if some people know from a very early age what they want to do, they pursue it, and they manage to get it. For me, leaving the army at 22 and then traveling in South America for a few months gave me this sense of independence and understanding of what is more important in life, and actually looking at different cultures and see the struggles and the challenges, and obviously appreciate what we've got. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then why did you and your wife make the decision to come to the UK? What was it, the draw, rather than the US or Canada or another country?
But first, my wife is English, which is a good reason. Yeah. Actually, when I met my wife back in 2000, I came here to the UK to basically see how it is to be together for 3 months.
Okay.
We worked together as bartenders, very young, and figured, okay, it's good. Let's try and give it a go. But at this point, I needed to start studying because, as I mentioned before, studying in Israel starts quite a much later stage.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I could not afford studying in the UK. I didn't really have the visa to study in the UK. Mm-hmm. And then we decided to move together to Israel.
Okay.
I started my studying in business management and accounting in Rishon LeZion College. I finished it successfully in 2005, I want to say, something like that. Mm-hmm. And after that, I completed 2 years internship, which you have to take as part of your accounting and becoming an accountant journey, which I completed in Ernst & Young in Israel as a senior auditor. Mm-hmm. And when I decided to leave Ernst & Young, it was almost like a moment that I had to choose where exactly I want to start my career properly.
Okay.
And that's what the time that we said, okay, look, are we going to stay in Israel, mm-hmm. or are we going to go and try London, which obviously has a lot more to offer in terms of the opportunities.
Career growth, yeah, absolutely.
So we made the decision. I feel like it was the right decision. We are very happy here. At the beginning, we thought it's going to be 4 or 5 years, and maybe we'll go back to Israel. Mm-hmm. And we do love Israel, but it's very different here. And I think it's easier to focus on your career and family and things like that more in the UK. Mm-hmm. As in Israel, there's lots of background noise, lots of background noise, and it's tough.
Yeah.
We do love going back. We go back every year. We got lots of friends, a big family.
Yes.
We try and get there as much as we can.
Yeah.
But obviously, life is leading the way. So yeah.
That's good. It's good that you let life lead you.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. You came to the UK and you started working at Ernst Young, not in the UK, or you decided to?
No. So Ernst Young was in Israel. I've done about 2.5 years there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was effectively certified again.
Yes.
Then I moved to the UK, and then obviously the recession started very early after I arrived, because I arrived in November and everything crashed in 2008.
Wow.
I was looking into investment banking. I didn't really know what it means, but I had an idea in my head that I want to work in the city. Yeah, I want to wear a suit. I want to feel like, one of these big shots.
Yeah.
And live the London life, and that was in my head, and it was not easy. We arrived in the UK. We stayed with my wife's parents for the first year, and it was tough to find a job. Somehow, and this is the Israeli way. I met a guy, just an Israeli guy, on a plane visiting on one of my trip back to Israel.
Yeah.
And I told him, "Look, I'm just looking for a job," and he said, "Itay, when we go back to London, I know a few people. I'm going to help you."
Wow. Oh, that's so nice.
And that was, that's how it all happened. He introduced me to Delic real estate, which was my first workplace in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, it's history. There, I worked there for about 5 years. I met so many people. We made so many connections.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyed the journey. I worked with some wonderful people that I'm in contact up until today. Even my boss there is actually a customer of ours here in
really?
in his little bakery. Yeah,
and
that's which is wonderful.
That's
and
amazing.
We are good friends as it is. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so now this is the interesting kind of crux of it all. So if we can dive a little bit deeper from the move from corporate into artisanal bakeries and cafes. Now, from what I hear, it sounds like you had a really positive experience and it was very exciting and almost like you were suited and booted and you were taking the city by storm. So, when was the first time you felt like your career in accounting and finance wasn't going to be forever?
Well, throughout my finance career, I dealt a lot with reporting. If it was private companies, private equities, publicly traded companies. So I've seen quite a lot. But I found my role quite repetitive. Even though I worked with some really interesting companies, which had, gave me really access to lots of different areas, and I worked with great people, I found it a bit repetitive, and it got to a point that I stopped enjoying myself as the time gone. I think at the end of the first position that I had after 5 years at Delic Real Estate, I thought, okay, I need a change, and I moved to work with a private equity, a Canadian private equity, actually.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, and again, it was real estate, slightly different. It was more residential. I used to work with commercial real estate in Europe, but that was residential real estate here in the UK, and student accommodation. Mm-hmm. So still, when it comes to the finance side, the reporting is quite similar, maybe different. It depends how much you write about it and how big the report is and what it includes and things like that. But essentially, I found it fairly similar. In terms of the people that worked there, my experience was not that great, and obviously that didn't help. I stayed there for about 3 years, and then I met again with my boss from Delic Real Estate, my previous job, and she said, "Look, come to work with me again," and I did. And that was my last position at Pearls Global real estate, which I had excellent experience and I really enjoyed myself. But at this point already, I started developing a Patisserie Florentine in New Jersey. So when I joined Pearl's Real Estate, I already knew in my head that probably the end goal would be me going into hospitality full time. So I started as a part-time. I used to work about 4 days, which dropped then to 3 days. I was traveling to New York, and it became more and more frequent to attend the business there. And then in 2018, I decided, you know what, I'm no longer happy waking up in the morning, taking the train again, doing the same. And I had a very, very, very comfortable job, and I worked with people that I like. So it was not the easiest decision to make. But I felt like, I believe like lots of people that work in corporate, that you work in a safe place, which provides you everything that you need, but you kind of working for your pension rather than enjoying the moment. Yeah, you go skiing, and yes, you go out, but lots of these people that I worked with or I met during this journey didn't really enjoy the job. They like parts of it, but it felt like they're more trying to work to a goal, which is, I don't know, retiring early, which I'm not quite there. I realized I just want to enjoy what I do. I don't mind working hard. I've been working hard as an accountant, and I'm working very hard as a baker.
I know you are.
Yeah, it's all hours of the day.
Yeah.
But I'm happy.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing, really.
Absolutely. So that's really fascinating. Thank you for sharing all of that. I really want to ask, though, one of the questions that came into my head when you were speaking was, did you always want to work in hospitality, in catering? Or
I did.
What was the initiation of like Patisserie Florentine? What was how did that come about?
So first of all, as Israelis, we always want to create. I mean, it is a nation, a very innovative nation. We like, there's lots of startups and lots of ideas of how to become independent and create your own thing. My brother, Tomer, he is a pastry chef. He is studying baking to the highest level. He worked with some famous chef in Manhattan. Wow. He's done his stage in France. When he came back to New Jersey, we had a few discussions, and I thought, you know what, I've got my skills on, let's say, the admin side. So all of the things that a small business owner is afraid of, how I'm going to open a company and what are accounts, and I'm going to deal with the numbers. Because if you're a chef, all you want to do is cook. You think, I want to create recipes. I want to have this oven. I want to have these tools. You want to cook, but you don't really want to think about all of the other things. What insurance do I need? And am I a director? I'm not a director.
Right.
All of these things. So I thought, I'm bringing this into the table, and then Tomer can bring his skill as a very good pastry chef into the table, and we try and combine it together. So that's what really initiated it. And obviously my knowledge in real estate at this point also helped, because we were looking, at this point, working remotely was becoming more and more easy, because I could see everything. I could look for property in New Jersey online. We had Google Maps, so you can see everything from the top, and you're thinking, okay, that looks like a good road. That looks like a nice location. Yeah. You can analyze quite a lot. And I think obviously the internet helped us set up something that maybe if you go back 20 or 30 years ago would be a bit more difficult in terms of a partnership. And that's how it all started. I did not have any particular thing before me and my brother got together to start this business. I didn't really have in my head a dream of owning my own restaurant or owning my own bakery.
No.
And that's where it started.
So was the dream more about being your own boss and moving into the entrepreneurial space rather than the specific product of the bakery and cafe?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's that. I really wanted to create something of my own. I want to make something that I'm proud of, that I enjoy doing. and that also people appreciate. People look from the outside and they think, okay, this is a nice thing that is created, with hard labor and lots of love. And that was my idea, my dream, let's say called that. It happened to be hospitality, and now it's, the love of what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's really more being independent, being your own boss, all of these things that people think, yeah, I want to work for myself. I don't want to report to, I don't want to feel like I'm working for someone else. And that kind of drove me slowly out of the corporate world. It wasn't, by the way, straight from the beginning. So when I started Ernst & Young, I was this young guy that, as I said before, really enjoyed working in the office. I liked the environment. I felt important. I felt like all of these things that as a young person, you're thinking, oh yes, I'm dealing with millions of pounds, billions of pounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's not yours, but you feel like, okay, you're doing like something really, really important. And it was excellent for a certain period of time. And I've got huge amount of experience from that. I don't regret it a bit, but I think the change was needed and was needed. And I'm really happy that I was able to do that, because I know that lots of people struggle at this point, that they really want to do something, but the risk or the unknown or things like that stops them from actually bring them to where maybe they can do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how did you know when the right time was to actually make the move?
So I've done it gradually. So when I set up the business was quite at the end of my first role in the UK. When we started talking about it, we actually started trading in 2013. So it was already after I left the Delek real estate. And it was a bit tricky because I was kind of living two lives. It wasn't at the point I was a full-time job with the private equity, doing a 9 to 5. It was much more comfortable hours than the previous job. And then at night I would work on Patisserie Florentine. I think it happened over a certain period of time, as I felt a little bit more comfortable with my knowledge of the industry that I'm wanted to go into, because we're talking about quite a few years. Obviously, I saw the success of Patisserie Florentine, which was almost quite immediate. So 2013 was good year, but it basically skyrocketed until 2016, which we were, wow. I mean, we were like 3 years running the best brunch spot in the county, which hopefully we'll do here also at some point. Yeah, and obviously that also helped. I don't know if I moved, if I was doing this and not succeeding, I don't know how easy it would have been for me to leave. But I would like to think that I probably would have tried again, because if you listen to lots of podcasts and lots of people that actually has done it before, failure is part of the journey. So and we've opened a few places in New Jersey, New York. Not all of them worked out. We had a place in East Village in Manhattan that we set up, and we closed a couple of years after. We set another one in New Jersey, which was very small, and we closed it a couple of years after. But obviously the accounting side of things helped me manage those investments and make sure that we're not putting everything at risk.
Right.
And we can continue progress with, in this industry and just keep trying things.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't seem like, based on what you just said about this idea that, failure is part of the journey, did you actually have any fears of failing, or?
You always worry. I think the fear is the thing that slows you down quite a lot. So the people that really manage to succeed, I believe, is actually almost eliminate this fear factor. I'm not saying be reckless. That's not what I mean. If you go and you've got the right business plan, and you believe in the business that you're going to set up, you want to just try and hit it and go ahead with it. There's always going to be a fear. I mean, even now running the business, you're always worried about certain aspects. Okay, what's going to happen here? Can I increase sales there? Why am I not selling, I don't know, this bread or whatever it is? So there's always fears. It's part of running a business. That's completely normal. I think the key is to try and understand that this fear is almost like a background noise more than anything else. You really need to take from this fear like the small points that are really material and really substantial and really going to impact you if they go wrong. And you need to nail them. You need to look at that and say, okay, 1, 2, 3. If I don't nail these 3 points, caput, I'm done. Okay, starting again. So lots of the other things, it's a mental thing. You just have to say to yourself, people have done it before. Okay, unless you're trying to develop a missile that goes into space, which people already done anyway. Lots of the things that we do, people have tried before us. Not necessarily succeeded. Yeah, lots of people failed doing technology startups. Many people failed setting up bakeries. I mean, we're talking about an industry that is probably one of the most riskiest industries in the hospitality business, because the margins are so low that you really, really have to manage it carefully. So yeah, so the fears are there.
The fears are there.
But the key is not to try to make sure that it doesn't impact you when it comes to the decision making.
Yeah. I like the idea that you said about background noise. Like the fear is there, it's background noise, but it's actually about, like you said, listing the top 2 or 3 major actual issues that if those go wrong, then that's really the deal breaker. And I think that's actually really, really helpful advice for anyone who's starting a business or has started a business and, is dealing with that sort of mindset, those issues, because exactly like you said, I think it's probably comforting too for these people to hear that a successful, cafe bakery is, entrepreneur also has those fears. So thank you for, sharing that with listeners.
Sure.
Another quick question for you. Did you have mostly supporters around you, or were there naysayers or people who were very vocal about their disapproval of you moving from this very secure, very prestigious role into an entrepreneur, baker, and cafe owner?
We did not have any financial support. Okay, we've got two different things. Obviously, you've got the finance side of things, and then you have the psychological side of things. For me, it was easy because my wife trusts me. So even if she knows things are risky, at the end of the day, and I'm talking about my wife specifically, because if you go into something, it can be your wife, your partner, someone that you live with, and is there with you all the time. You would like to get their support or understanding of what you do. One thing that would make things really, really difficult is to go against it, because if something goes wrong, you've got a much bigger problem on your hand. So when you come back home from whatever project you're doing, you want to know that you have this, let's say, silence with regards to this particular project. The other side, or your partner, or your wife, or your husband, or whoever it is, don't have to be necessarily interested in it. Yeah, you don't need to expect them to be there. But I think the most important support is to live in an environment after work that doesn't challenge you all the time in terms of why you're doing this. Okay, you want to get challenged. You want to speak to lots of people that, first of all, are from the industry, because we as I'm doing Identity Baker, we still trying different businesses, looking into always opportunities that are out there, even if it's online or other locations or things like that. And just the other week, I had a call with regards to an e-commerce initiation that I have I was looking into with my brother and another potential partner.
Mm.
And we contact someone from the industry that I happen to know. And, after a call, we decided, what? No, maybe we need to change direction. And you want to hear the no's from the right people, from the people that really understand or that you trust their advice. And you definitely want to bounce ideas against someone. Don't go, even if you decide to set up your own business just by yourself without partners, that's fine. It's difficult, and I'm doing it at the moment, but that's fine. Make sure you listen and you ask questions of few individuals, just to see that you are on the right way. So your business plan, whatever you think is this perfect, almost perfect business plan, is not going to derail because you forgot about a couple of things to do. I don't know, with taxation or with employment or with certain costs or whatever it is.
Well, that's really good advice. But what if someone doesn't have anyone working in that industry that they can reach out to?
Today, you can get tons of advice just by surfing the net. Okay, to start with. I personally, again, I love talking to people. You see this in the bakery. It doesn't matter where it is or what it is about. I always initiate the conversation. Right. So obviously the best thing is to try and get the advice from people that you know or people that you meet on the way. There's always, they don't have to come exactly from that industry, but it's enough that they have a different angle of how to look at things. Maybe they set up their own business in different industry, but they had, some businesses could be different sector, but have very similar challenges.
Yeah.
Recruitment, for instance, it can be difficult in hospitality, and it can be difficult in finance, whatever it is. And then you have to find the ways of how you mitigate them. And maybe this person can tell you, okay, you know what? Maybe this is the way.
Yeah.
So if you want to find advice, it will always be there. People, I find, love to share advice. I mean, I'm a person like that. I'm exactly like that. I've got lots of cafe owners and people from the industries that will contact me and ask questions. I'm happy to sit down and just walk through things. And the same thing when I feel like I don't know much. For instance, I felt like at the beginning, look, I know about sourdough. I don't know enough. I contact a few bakeries from bakers community in London that are like top end, and I just sent an email to the owner and I said, do you mind if I come and work at your bakery for a couple of days?
Wow.
And they said, yeah, no problem. So I found myself, you just have to initiate. You don't be afraid of making this contact. Sometimes we look at, I don't know, famous people. We look at businesses that are out there and done it, and we see some sort of barrier, and you just have to try. It's a matter of sending an email or asking the person to maybe know someone to make contact, and you'll be surprised how many people will be happy to help.
That's great. That is really great advice. Thank you, Itay. I like that. Maybe use it for my own podcast.
Let's do it.
I'm going to be reaching out to like the top podcasters. Hi.
Hello. When I start my podcast, I'll come to you.
Yeah. You know it too. Watch this space. Itay is going to start a podcast. Right. Okay. Let's say we have a listener who is contemplating leaving the corporate world to pursue their dreams. What steps should they take now? And what advice would you offer them when they actually decide to leave?
Okay. So first of all, if they know what they want to do, okay, and they are afraid of doing it, they have to think about what would be the worst case scenario. Okay. Are they going to end up on the street? They won't have food on the table. I don't know. Their partner's going to leave them. Who knows? They're going to forget about all of their skills from the previous jobs. It doesn't happen. I'm telling you, I left accounting years and years and years ago. Yeah, you lose some touch of certain subject, but skills doesn't disappear. So think about what is the worst case scenario. and see if you can live with it, you know. So for instance, let's take an example. If you have £2 in your bank account and you want to live tomorrow a very comfortable job, and you've got a mortgage, and you think you've got a great business idea, you still have to think, if I cannot pay my mortgage next month, or the next 6 months while I'm trying to build up this business, my dream is not going to happen. And obviously I will be in trouble. So you have to look at the finance side. You have to look at the support from home, and just think about the worst case scenario. Okay. And I think I find it helpful because I think at this point, you know what is the risk, and then you make the decision: am I willing to take this risk? Have I got the support that I need in order to go through the journey? And then if you answer these two questions, it's positive, just go and do it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to drop your pen and say, I quit, go to your, the manager said, see ya.
Yeah.
It was very gradual for me. So different people, are braver than me and can do it much quicker. But it works, we're all different individuals. So you just be happy with the journey also. Don't feel like you're doing things you don't want to do. Try and enjoy it, try and embrace it. And I think you've got a better rate of success if you go that way.
So to sum it up, 2 questions ask yourself. The first question is, are you able to essentially survive, kind of day to day by doing so, by pursuing this? And the second is, do you have the support at home?
Correct.
And if you can answer yes to those 2 questions, just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Just start.
Exactly. Yeah. Just start. You've got your business plan. I mean, you've been dreaming about this idea probably more than a couple of days. I assuming it's not someone that decided yesterday that they want to become, the prime minister of Cambodia, and then they just left their job. So the assumption is this person already knows, what they want to do.
Yeah.
So let's just try and eliminate the fear. Check your worst case scenario. Yeah. Do some risk assessments. Choose the timing. Just, you want to do it over a period of a year, it's fine. I mean, when I started this 4 days in my last job. My boss already knew that I had my business in New Jersey. And I said, look, I have it. I can do only 4 days a week. She knew, and it worked absolutely fine. Then we dropped it to 3 days a week. And it happened over a couple of years. And then I was out.
There you go. The rest is history, like you said.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. Right. Well, now we're on to the final part of the podcast. This is called the Envisionaire Questionnaire. This is a fun feature of the Envisionaire podcast where we ask guests 3 questions reflecting on their past, present, and future. So, Itay, looking towards your past, if you could give your 15-year-old self any advice, what would it be and why?
Right, 15 years old. Enjoy your life, first of all, because you're only 15 years old. Okay, don't rush yourself into any businesses. However, try and gain a little bit of independence, if you can, with the guidance of the people around you that are already independent. You can gain some pretty good experience at the age of 15 because you already have the ability and skill to do certain things. Maybe try and use that while you're still protected under this umbrella of your parents and your home. And you don't necessarily have to, assuming you've got everything that the Western world has to offer us, obviously, because we're lucky to have that. So, and that's what I would say.
That's great. And reflecting on your present, if you could seek advice right now from anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Right. The person that I like to listen to the most is Luke Johnson. is entrepreneur that actually I'm listening to lots of these podcasts, and I'd like to see, to have this 1 hour with him in the same room and say, okay, how do I get the fears that I'm talking about to even disappear further so I can act quicker? So that's the Luke Johnson.
Nice. Cool. Maybe he'll listen and he'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
We can send him this podcast.
I will do.
Okay, in future looking, what's one goal that you would like to achieve in the next 5 years?
Definitely want to grow our business. We are looking at a couple of avenues. One of them is setting up another location very close to where we live. I try to keep it geographically close as part of the move from London and eliminating the commute. So I can stay as close as I can to the family, because that was one of the reasons that I decided to move from the corporate life to where I'm at the moment. So setting up a second location, for sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be Itay Zilkha bakery or not, but we're already in the process of going through one of them. The other option is fundraising for an expansion of Itay Zilkha bakery, maybe on a slightly different format within the next 5 years. So stay in the hospitality, grow it, and the most important thing is to make sure that we enjoy the next 5 years as well as succeeding with what we believe.
Amazing. That's very good. Good goal for the next 5 years. I'm excited to see it unfold. And I'm excited for the second location. Count me as one of the first customers, please.
We'll do. It's coming soon. We're hoping 2024. That's the plan.
Okay. All right. Everyone watch the space. Obviously, I want to thank Itay for being part of the Envisionaire podcast. Thank you for all of the advice you gave the listeners. I think it's really going to inspire them. Anyone who's actually looking to pursue their dreams, now might be the time for you. Hopefully, Itay's message has resonated with you. And for anyone who is visiting Epsom Ewell area in England, please do visit Eden's Little Bakery. You will not regret it. They have some of the best coffee that I've ever tried, which is amazing.
Thank you.
And they have amazing baked goods. Oh, their croissants and everything. Oh, it's just so good. So please do check that out. I always bring anyone who visits. I always go there. It's so good. Thank you again, Itay, for everything. And we will be in touch soon.
Thank you very much, Nicole. It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks a lot.